Good morning and welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Rick Fulbaum. Jim DeFede is off this Sunday. We are days away from Super Tuesday, a critical day for presidential hopefuls as voters in 13 states head to the polls. And we're only a couple of weeks away from the Florida primary, which will be held on March 15th. This stretch will ultimately decide who runs for president in the general election to succeed President Barack Obama. We started this month with two Miamians in the GOP race for the White House. With former Governor Jeb Bush now out, we are down to Senator Marco Rubio. But are his hometown supporters about to be let down soon as well? The last GOP debate before Super Tuesday was held Thursday night. The remaining candidates took the stage. And if you didn't know this was a presidential debate, you might have thought there should be a steel cage surrounding them all. It was loud, it was bare-knuckled, it was entertaining. That is, unless you're sentimental for the good old days when presidential candidates tried to come off as, well, presidential. Here's a sample.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite.
But no, it's not a soundbite, it's a fact.
Yeah,
again, go online and Google it. Donald Trump, Polish workers, you'll see it. The second thing about the trade war, I don't understand, because your ties and the clothes you make is made in Mexico and in China. So you're going to be starting a trade war against your own ties and your own suits. All right.
You know why? Because
why don't you make them in America?
Their currencies.
No.
They devalue their currencies.
Well, then make them in America.
That makes it impossible. Well, you don't know anything about business. You lose on
make
everything
them in
you do.
America.
Let me just tell you, they devalue their currencies. China, Mexico, everybody, Japan, with the cars. They devalue their currencies to such an extent that our businesses cannot compete with them. Our workers lose their jobs.
So you make them in China and in Russia.
You wouldn't know anything about it because you're a lousy
Well, I don't know
businessman.
anything about bankrupting four companies.
No,
You bankrupted four companies.
You know what?
I don't know anything about
You know what?
starting a university. That was a fake university.
First of all,
a fake university.
Complete with a cheering section. So will Thursday's debate change the dynamic heading into Super Tuesday this week, or is there just no stopping the Trump Express? Joining us this morning, senior writer for Politico, Marc Caputo, and former spokesman for former Governor Jeb Bush, Justin Sayfie. Well, gentlemen, welcome to you both. We've had a little time to digest what we watched on Thursday night, and there have been some more developments since. Let's talk first of all about Marco Rubio in the debate Thursday night. Very different from every other debate performance we've seen from him. Mark, will it make a difference?
I think it makes a difference, or it made a difference as far as the chattering class chattering about him. It used to be, God, he's going to die. When's he going to die? And then the discussion became, hey, Marco Rubio really showed a pulse last night and took it to Trump. Of course, in the subsequent hours, Trump then got the Chris Christie endorsement and started mocking Marco Rubio with his water and going through these various shticks, and it's become a really bizarre campaign.
I think a lot of people, Justin, were watching not just Marco Rubio, but also Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who's been in third place kind of here in the latest national polls, wondering where have these guys been? What took them so long?
Well, you know, it's funny because Governor Jeb Bush, who was in the race, who was taking on Trump while Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz were silent, now you see Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio getting much more aggressive against Donald Trump. I don't know. This was the 10th GOP debate, and I know that Marco is trying to change the dynamics. Now we only have 5 candidates in the race, but ultimately I don't know that's going to have that big of an impact unless something dramatic really happens to change the dynamic. Super Tuesday is just a couple of days away, 13 states. Trump's leading in a lot of those states. This will help Marco a little bit, but we'll see whether he's able to win any of those Super Tuesday states.
Senator Rubio feeling confident after his performance on Thursday night. He followed that up Friday morning with this new line of attack. Take a listen.
It's time to pull his mask off so that people can see what we are dealing with here. What we are dealing with here, my friends, is a con artist. He is a con artist.
A con artist. I mean, and this is something we heard in the debate when we heard them talking about the illegal workers that Trump had hired, when we heard him talk about the bankrupt companies that he had headed, about the Trump University that had failed, which is still in the courts out in California. This con artist line of attack, if you're a Trump supporter, do you care about this?
Well, I think Donald Trump accurately said that if he shot someone in the middle of New York, his supporters wouldn't leave him. So if you're a Trump supporter, it probably doesn't make a lick of difference. I'm surprised that Marco Rubio didn't criticize him for the Trump steaks failure. Trump once sold steaks as well as mattresses, which Rubio did mention. What's interesting last night is that Marco Rubio became a walking, talking opposition research file. But to Justin's point, I think It's probably too little too late, because we start to get into the delegates that are needed to nominate someone at a convention. If it goes that far, 595 delegates of the 1237 needed to win the nomination are at stake on Tuesday. In between the Super Tuesday state, the March 1st states, and March 15th, when Florida votes, we have a total of 963 when you add up all those early March states. So it's going to be really tough math, because Trump is leading in almost all of them.
But Rick, the dynamic there too is that we still have 5 GOP candidates in this race. If we're a 2-person race between Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, the dynamics will be completely different. The Trump supporters may not care about the con artist label that Rubio is trying to put on him. It's really about those other, I would call, more mainstream GOP voters in some of those larger states. And that's where, if Rubio can get it down to a 2-person race, he might have some effectiveness with this line of attack. But if Cruz and Kasich and Ben Carson stay in the race, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him.
Mark, you mentioned Chris Christie on Friday coming out, the former candidate, the New Jersey governor. Let's take a listen to some of that.
To beat Hillary Clinton in November on that stage last night is undoubtedly Donald Trump. And so I am thrilled to be here this morning to lend my support.
There's Chris Christie. You know, to see the two of them together, I just wonder, what does this mean, Justin? Does Chris Christie bring something to the Trump campaign that he even needed?
Well, you know, Chris Christie didn't really do very well. He dropped out very early on in the race after New Hampshire. I don't really know what it brings him. It does help give him a little bit of quote-unquote establishment support, but Trump's the anti-establishment candidate. So it's really hard to understand what impact the Christie endorsement's going to have for Trump.
I think it's important to remember that Chris Christie's foremost concern is Chris Christie. And we saw this at the Republican National Convention in 2012, where he's supposed to give the keynote address, and he only spoke about himself. Remember, on the stage, on the debate stage, and even before then, he told reporters, Chris Christie did, that Donald Trump was not qualified to be president. Now, all of a sudden, Donald Trump is qualified to be president. And to Justin's point, this guy was barely hitting 1% or 2%, or he was in the single digits in New Hampshire. He basically left his state and campaigned for president of New Hampshire, couldn't even win there. Chris Christie doesn't translate very well. What he does do is he makes guys like you and me and Justin talk about this, and it changes the focus from Rubio doing well or taking it to Trump at the debate. And in that respect, it's a success.
A couple minutes here in this segment. I want to talk about the 15th, which of course is the Florida primary. Early voting, absentee voting has begun. Early voting has begun. You know, and so I just want to talk about some of the latest polls that came out ahead of this, which show Donald Trump beating Marco Rubio, and not by a little, by a lot. This is the Quinnipiac poll that shows him ahead by quite a bit. You can see, even if it's off a little bit, can it really be off that much? I know there's another poll that shows the race a little bit narrower here in Florida. But Mark, let me ask you, if it looks like he's going to lose his home state and he doesn't do well on Super Tuesday, quickly, do we see Marco Rubio back out before March 15th?
I don't see him backing out before March 15th, but if he doesn't win the state, it's difficult to see how Marco Rubio continues on beyond Florida.
I just wonder if he wants to avoid the embarrassment of losing his home state of Florida. Is there a chance, Justin, do you think, that he gets out of this race before the Florida primary?
Well, look, as you said, 13 states are voting on Super Tuesday. I think he's got to do well in some of those states. I don't think he backs out before Florida either. I think he's got to face the Florida voters and hope to get a win and pull something off where he can beat Donald Trump. And Florida is one of his best chances to do it.
All right. A lot more to talk about with these two gentlemen, including Jeb Bush, who is no longer in the race. But could he come to Marco Rubio's rescue? We'll ask Justin Sayfie, his former spokesperson, about that. We'll also talk about the future of the Republican Party. A lot more on Facing South Florida right after this.